I can't tell you guys how much negative media about the New Orleans Pelicans that I've been forced to consume over the years. For whatever reason, it's felt like the New Orleans Pelicans have just been that team that everybody has loved to hate. To give an example of how ridiculous things have been for New Orleans, people hated the Pelicans so much that before Zion even got the opportunity to get drafted to New Orleans, faithful Pelicans fans had to listen to the media say that he should stay at Duke for another year just so that the Pelicans wouldn't even get the opportunity to take him. You know, because Zion wanted to be a Knick and the Pelicans would ruin his career just like they supposedly did with Anthony Davis. That right there is some next level hating. The rumors had reached a point where they were so loud to where Zion's stepfather felt like he had to step in and shut everything down, saying that this wasn't even something that his son was considering. I don't know about you guys, but I for one am glad that Zion didn't return to Duke for another season and gave the New Orleans Pelicans the opportunity to draft him. Zion has fully embraced New Orleans, and in return, the franchise and city have both fully embraced him back. As of late, Zion hasn't just been silencing the noise, he's been demolishing it en route to having a season that most players could only dream of. Earlier this season, the Pelicans would advance to the semifinals of the in-season tournament, where they'd face off against the Lakers and get absolutely demolished 133-89. The Pelicans losing in the in-season tournament wouldn't necessarily be a big deal by itself because it's just the in-season tournament at the end of the day, but the way that they lost, that would be an entirely different story. Essentially, everybody on the Pelicans had a bad game against the Lakers in the in-season tournament, but there was one performance that stood out more than the others, and that was the performance of Zion Williamson. On offense, it was as if Zion wasn't invested enough to try, and on defense, if the Lakers put him in any sort of action, they were going to score. To be frank, this game, Zion Williamson looked like somebody that didn't have what it took to be the best player on a championship team. With that being said, some of the things that I heard after this game were disgusting.
It is shameful. You got chefs in New Orleans. I'm not exaggerating. I'm quoting people. You got chefs in New Orleans who love him. They're looking for him. Every chef there wants to meet him because they know he'll show up to their restaurant. The word out on Zion Williamson is that he'll eat the table. I'm quoting. He'll eat the table.
Now, while some of the things that I heard after this game were wild, there was still some valid and heartfelt criticism that would be mixed in.
The thing that disturbs me is he's not a young kid. When Moses told me I was fat and lazy, I was a rookie. He's been in the league long enough. He's got two guys in his team that are better players than him, and they shouldn't be. He was the number one pick in the draft. He should be a better player than Ingram. We like Ingram, obviously. We love CJ. He should be the best player, and he's not even close. Number one, he's got to get in shape.
Who better than Charles Barkley to give Zion Williamson advice on this situation? I know that Charles Barkley can be known as a jokester, but every now and then he does say some things that are incredibly true. And with Zion Williamson, he told no lies. With Zion's talent level, he should have far and away been the best player on the Pelicans. But yet, he wasn't. Well, it's safe to say that's no longer the case. Since the play-in tournament, both Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans have been transforming. The Pelicans are 30-15 since the tournament and have been one of the best teams in the league, tapping back into that energy that got them the 1 seed last year before it all came crashing down due to injury. I know that the Pelicans obtained that 1 seed very early in the year last year, but it's still wild to me that this team went from being the 1 seed to missing the playoffs entirely. I still have nightmares about that 10-game losing streak. If anything, the Pelicans' fall off last season shows you how valuable that having a player like Zion Williamson truly is. When Zion Williamson is playing his best basketball, he's a game wrecker. He's somebody that defines the roles of the players around him and gives his team a true identity, which has been the case this season for the Pelicans. I know that we keep going back to that dreaded in-season tournament, but since that tournament, the Pelicans have had the 4th best offensive rating in the league at 110.2. They've had the 2nd best defensive rating in the league at 110.6. They've had the 2nd best net rating in the league, only trailing the Boston Celtics at 8.6, and most importantly, they have a superstar who has been living up to those lofty expectations that were put on him coming out of Duke, which in large part is due to the amazing shape that he's in. Windhorst says that since the in-season tournament, that Zion has lost 25 or more pounds. Guys, that is a ton of weight. Here's a reminder that just a few years ago that we were seeing reports that Zion had eclipsed 300 pounds. and now we're seeing him fly around the court like he's back at Duke. Zion getting into the phenomenal shape that he has brought on the return of Point Zion, which we first saw under Stan Van Gundy. Point Zion, as you could guess, is something that defenses simply don't have an answer for. Zion goes through smaller defenders and around bigger defenders. It doesn't even matter if the big that's guarding Zion just camps the paint, because Zion's explosiveness, craftiness, and finesse around the basket is just too good. Honestly, his unique combination of skills is something that we may never see again for a person his size. There's truly no way to guard Zion. If you want to wall up or send help, Zion is an exceptional passer who has the ability to use his gravity to his advantage. Collapse on Zion if you want to, and watch him kick the ball out to one of the Pelicans shooters, who have no problem shooting the ball from distance with volume. B.I. is shooting 35.7% from 3 on 3.8 attempts a game. Trey Murphy is shooting 37.9% from 3 on 7.7 attempts a game. CJ is shooting 41% from 3 on 7.9 attempts a game. And then there's Herb Jones, who teams used to dare to shoot, who's shooting 43.3% from 3 on 3.5 attempts a game. Even Pelicans center Jonas Valanciunas has been doing his best Brook Lopez impression, looking to expand his range since he arrived in New Orleans, and is shooting 34.6% from deep on 1.5 attempts a game. Which last season, there was a game against the Clippers where he went 7 of 7 from deep in just one half. Mind you that as I'm talking about all of these guys who could potentially shoot the ball for the Pelicans, that none of these guys are one-dimensional. The Pelicans are one of those rare teams that can not only outshoot you, but can also out-athlete you. And usually, the Pelicans are going to have the best athlete on the floor. While it's been great to see Zion return to form on offense, with him averaging 30.3 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 3 assists on 65% over his last 4 games, what I've been most impressed about with him is his defense. He's not just chasing highlight blocks, he's getting low, he's moving his feet, and he's forcing players like Kawhi to take what he gives them. If an offensive possession like this would have happened during the in-season tournament against the Pelicans would have been inbounding the ball seconds later because they just gave up 2 points. Zion isn't relying on the team to energize him. He energizes the team, and everybody has been following his lead. Just listen to what Zion had to say after a statement win against the Clippers, where the Pelicans would secure the head-to-head tiebreaker over them.
I don't know who said what at halftime, but you came out on a tear in that third quarter. It's like a switch flipped for you. What was that? Take me inside it.
I'm a competitor. I want to win. Simple as that.
That is exactly what you want to hear coming from one of the leaders and stars of your team. Guys, you have no idea how proud of this team that I am at this moment. I know that there's a lot of basketball left to play and that anything can happen, but as a Pelicans fan, I'm just going to enjoy this moment while I have it. It's been awesome to see players on this team grow and mature. To shout out a few of them, Brandon Ingram never wavered, has always given his all and been a true leader. I'm really excited to see this guy back in the playoffs because he was a monster in that Phoenix series a few years ago. Herb Jones is the heart of this team. This man is one of, if not the best perimeter defender in the game. He's a timely cutter and an overall threat on offense, and he's shooting what from 3 again? The next Pelicans jersey that I get has to be Herb's. Trey Murphy is a 6'9" freak with the strap and has been adding to his game every year. Larry Nance knows who Larry Nance is. He knows Larry Nance's role, which cannot be overstated. Sometimes that's just nice to have. Also, Nance is shooting 42.3% from deep on low attempts. Could that be something to monitor? As for CJ, this guy has been a true vet. He embraced coming to New Orleans and he's been making the most of his time here. Him and Willie Green, who has also done a great job, have been exactly what Zion Williamson and this team have needed. As a Pelicans fan, this has been a fun season. I really don't have too many complaints. I mean, I do wish that we got Tyus Jones and Daniel Gafford at the trade deadline, but hey, Like I said, I really can't complain too much. Here's to hoping that our lack of rim protection just doesn't come back to bite us. Now my Pelicans fans, I will do a deeper dive with this Pelicans team very soon, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now I've been seeing a lot of people call this Pelicans team a dark horse contender. In the comments below, let me know if you guys feel like this Pelicans team has the potential to contend or if it's still too early for that. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.